Ed Live with Dave Wilson Nursery here. We're going to plant a tree. First thing you want to consider when you're planting a tree is site location. Most important thing about site location is always going to be drainage. How well does your soil drain? One way to check your drainage in the soil is to dig a hole roughly about a foot deep, and then go ahead a foot wide, and then go ahead and fill it with water. Let it drain, then fill it again with water. If it takes longer than 4 hours to drain on that second draining, you got a moisture problem, and definitely you're going to want to correct it some way. And we'll cover that in further videos. But definitely make choosing that site and making sure that that drainage is as good as it possibly can be your primary goal when you're selecting a location. All fruit trees consist of a rootstock and a scion, or the variety that you're going to be growing. Selecting a tree that has a rootstock that's compatible to the soil conditions in your area and the disease prevalence in your area is important. Consult your local nursery professional to find out what rootstocks may be recommended in your area before you plant. All right, now we're going to dig the hole. And we're going to dig a cone-shaped hole where it's deeper in the center and tapered out to the sides. This is actually a preferred way of planting your fruit tree. And to do this, what we're going to do is we're going to get the assistance of our good friend here, Tom Spellman from Dave Wilson Nursery, and he is going to be the assistant digger. I always recommend that you have an assistant digger when you're digging holes because they're so boring to dig alone. Now we have our tapered hole, and as you can see, the sides taper down into where the tree is going to be planted in the center. At this point, this is where we want to consider our amendments. If we're going to put in an amendment, we're going to take and we're going to pile up the soil that's going to go back into the hole, and we're going to mix up that amendment real good into the native soil. But if you've got good soil, like this soil right here, there's no need to add anything to it. We'll actually put all the amendment right on the surface. All right. We've selected a July Alberta peach, a very versatile variety of peach. Grows in many different types of climate. Also, on any good Dave Wilson Nursery product, you'll always find a rootstock label as well, which will explain the qualities of this particular rootstock, what it can offer you and what it can do relative to certain conditions that you may have in your landscape. Always look for a tree that has a rootstock label on it. It makes you a more educated consumer. Now we're going to get ready to plant here. One of the things that you really want to be concerned about is that the soil line that exists when this tree is done being planted is the soil line that existed when it was in the ground. And in this case, what we're looking at is, you can see where the color change just starts to begin right in here. That's where you want your soil line to be when you're done planting, right there. That'll guarantee that you don't get this tree rotting on you from the crown up. All right, now we're going to plant the tree. And to do that, we're going to enlist the service, of course, of Tom Spellman, a very capable tree planter. And what we're going to do is we're just going to start backfilling the hole. We want to try to keep this tree nice and straight. I pack it down, try to get the air holes out of it while I'm planting. Continually packing it down real good. All right, tree's nice and straight. Soil line is where the soil line was when it was in the ground. And this tree is now ready to be pruned. We're going to grow this tree for the backyard, and so growing it for the backyard means we want the tree not to grow too tall. We're going to want the fruiting body of this tree to begin as low as possible. And so I like to recommend cutting it right off at the knee. So here's my knee. And what we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to lop it off at a little bit of an angle right at the knee. This in turn will create a canopy that starts nice and low, making our fruiting body a reasonable height when this tree reaches fruiting size. All right, now we're going to use a product here for mulching. And you can choose mulches from a lot of different sources. You can get straw mulches, you can get alfalfa mulches, you can get mulches from compost. That's a great mulch. This particular product right here is called Topper. And what we're going to do is we're going to take and make sure that this product is well distributed. And mulch, of course, is for a number of different reasons. First and foremost, water conserving. It helps to take during the hot part of the summertime and hold in the moisture and keep evaporation down. Very, very important when you're growing fruit trees. Secondly, during the hottest part of the summer, this mulch is going to help to keep the soil nice and cool. It's going to cut down evaporation from the surface. That's going to help as well. Of course, you've always heard it's going to help with weed control, and it does help with weed control. And in time, as you're rejuvenating your mulch, year after year, it's going to start to feed the tree as well. So what we want is we want a good, as you can see, 3 to 4 inches of mulch at the base of that tree in the end when we're done.